I partnered with my sponsor Geology to make this video, so there will be an ad from them somewhere in the middle. I'm aware that I am late to this. I've had a lot going on, okay? What are you, my dad? Clearly not. My dad does not care about how many YouTube videos I make. Actually, it's the literal opposite. I don't think he watches YouTube, but he's like subscribed to support me. He'll be like, wow, you've been busy lately. Is everything okay? He would prefer less videos, so clearly you and my dad are not one and the same. Basically, some Xbox news hit the internet a minute ago, and by news, I mean mostly rumors. And that is part of this video that I want to talk about is just the absolute lack of accountability for all of the people who just straight up lied about this. But the rumors were that pretty much all Xbox games were going to be multi-platform. Then Xbox announced that they would have a big business update, and that made me go, oh, some of this is definitely going to be true. But I've not yet watched that update. I've had this feeling for a while, and it's not like I've invented this feeling when it's kind of something that the company has explicitly said. But when we talk about the console wars in the year 2024, many a warriors fought valiantly for 30 plus years, and yet still, the fight continues as these battle-hardened warriors need to, for some reason, claim that their box is better than the other box, even though the devices are really just designed for entertainment and it's not that fucking serious. I digress. The console wars are in a really weird position where it doesn't make sense to have them because the companies in the space are doing entirely different things. We've got Nintendo obviously making handhelds. I think we're all expecting a new Switch to be announced pretty soon. I really hope so. Xbox has a very big focus on Game Pass, which is growing incredibly well for them. In some markets, Game Pass for PC is actually growing faster than the PC market, just meaning that people who already own PCs are buying into Game Pass on PC at such like an exponential rate. Like that's such a healthy business model. They also have spoken pretty publicly about the cloud and the idea of getting games to stream in countries that don't really have a lot of consoles and like breaking that market much further open, getting people to play more games on phones. These are the same quality, so they're not actually mobile games, they're just games streamed from consoles. Not that PlayStation and Nintendo are doing none of that, obviously they both also have mobile presences, but it seems like Xbox has a focus that is in a very, very different direction. And so talking about this box versus this box versus this box doesn't make any sense when the boxes have different goals. So this official Xbox podcast that I expected to be a full stream and thought would be an hour long is actually not. It's like fully pre-recorded. It's 20 minutes long. I'm going to watch it. We'll cut down little bits of it. I won't show just the whole thing here. And then see how we think Xbox is doing or what Xbox is up to leading into 2024 and what is going on with all these exclusive rumors that I think a lot of people have probably lied about and blown massively out of proportion. But I guess we'll see.
Hello and welcome to the
Tina.
Official Xbox podcast.
We work together at
I'm
IGN.
your host, Tina Amini, and we have a very special episode today, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm joined by Phil, Sarah, and Matt. Welcome.
When we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably would have started with Activision Blizzard, maybe talked a little bit about the exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out.
So I wonder if this was
and
originally supposed to be like a proper broadcast and not an Xbox podcast. Like I wonder if this was supposed to be like a Xbox showcase originally, starting with different pieces of news. But then they were like, oh, okay, let's do this quickly. Because clearly this has just been recorded in response to the news or in response to the rumors.
tackle the exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people. We hear from the community, and that's an important input for us. So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles, just 4 games, not a change to our kind of fundamental exclusive strategy.
So literally just 4 games while the internet said that it was going to be every game. I think we already know about some of those, though. The Nintendo Direct had Grounded, Hi-Fi Rush, and Pentiment. All 3 games that I think are fantastic that I can't see any negative to being on extra platforms, especially the Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure what the 4th one is, but I think I've seen people suggest that that's Sea of Thieves.
So these 4 titles, what are they? Can you say?
I'm not going to name those games. The teams that are building those games have announced plans that are not too far away.
That's a weird choice.
As we know, game teams put a lot of energy
I bet he wasn't able
into their
to.
Announcements.
That was probably for the Nintendo Direct.
I don't want to take anything away from those teams. So I won't be talking about
that's a tough spot to be in.
Specifically, but I think
I actually obviously Tina had that question scripted because they knew that everyone was going to be like, why can't you say the name of the 4 fucking games? They just get that out of the way straight away because it is a weird choice otherwise. Yeah, it was almost definitely that they had a deal regarding the Nintendo Direct.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
They are not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Well, what was the criteria?
They know what the people are asking.
How the team was thinking.
You're like, here's the thing about that particular one, right? Starfield was the one that took over the internet that I highly doubted would ever happen. This is from Xbox era, and they haven't even updated this. Isn't that crazy? Exclusive. Microsoft plans Starfield launch for PlayStation 5. For many weeks now, rumors have persisted regarding Microsoft's intentions to release a number of first-party games, namely Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, on rival platforms. According to our sources, who have asked to remain anonymous because they were not authorized to talk about company plans, that list of games also includes Bethesda Game Studios' Starfield. I would absolutely bet money that this is just a straight lie. There was no source that misinformed them. They were just lying for clicks. And I just feel like there's almost no accountability here. How has this person not been pressured to update this? They even effectively call out Sarah Bond, like calling her a liar. Releasing Starfield on PlayStation 5 contradicts the original statement around exclusivity made by President of Xbox Sarah Bond during the Xbox and Bethesda Games Summer Showcase of 2021. According to our sources, Microsoft senior, how do you not even have an updated comment saying Xbox's Phil Spencer in a recent broadcast said that's not true? You can still Google this. Nuts, dude. Again, I just feel like accountability for both journalists and YouTubers has just gotten way, 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 way worse. Like if you say something that's wrong, you don't have to take it down. Just issue a correction. Again, the internet is just full of garbage at this point. It is time to talk about geology. I only very recently got into skincare and it's been going very well for me. But at first I was just intimidated, maybe you could say scared, because there is so much information about skincare online. Half of the ingredients lists of chemicals I've never even heard of. And that's where Geology comes in. Geology is a skincare subscription service that gets rid of all of that scariness. It's a 29-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company recognized in publications like Men's Health, Hypebeast, Oprah Daily Grooming Awards. And their products are built around just a handful of powerful, proven ingredients that have been trusted by dermatologists for decades. You're not getting giant lists of things you've never heard of, and they make it so easy to follow the steps. They'll have you fill out a convenient survey and give you products to help with your specific skincare concerns, including the exact order in which to apply the products. That was the thing that I was so confused about when I was trying to do this independently. Now there's a natural, at-home, personally tailored thing that literally has items that say 1, 2, and 3 on them, so I know the exact order to use them with. They also have hair and body products as well, if that's something that you need help with. So head to geolog.ie, that is geolog.ie/Charalanazard70, or scan the QR code on the screen and use my promo code Charalanazard70, and they will give you an exclusive 70% off their award-winning skincare trial set. On top of that, they're giving you an additional bonus offer of up to 30% off one of the skin, hair, and body add-on products when you add it to your trial. Huge thank you to Geology for sponsoring the video. Now back to the video.
And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10 years, exclusive games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware, are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry. And that's not some great insight.
That's already happening, right? Oh, I didn't realize I didn't readjust my screen. My bad. That's already happening. If you think about the era when the 360 launched, it had BioShock, Dead Rising. Fucking Mass Effect was an exclusive. Crazy big hitter exclusives that slowly got whittled back over time. We're also already seeing a lot of games come to PC that previously wouldn't come to PC. Helldivers just launched on PlayStation 5 and on PC. This is 100% happening more often, as I figure these companies are seeing less value in hardware, because hardware doesn't make a ton of profit, and more value in sales and services and subscription services. Same as the streaming industry, which does also mean in my head that Xbox will probably do the same thing with Game Pass that people have done with Uber and Postmates or whatever. They make the thing as cheap and full of content as possible. Same thing Netflix did, so that they can price out competition. And then when the competition has died, like Uber did to taxis, they then raise the prices up again. So it's just the same price taxis were. So Game Pass is probably going to progressively get more and more expensive as time goes on, or it'll stay the same if they can't reach a certain amount of success with it. It's a little different when taxis didn't have crazy exclusive good content or loyal fans who've been fighting a war for 30 years.
Because if you look at the last 10 years and what the biggest games are today, it's a natural place, whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC.
He's totally right.
You see big games landing on multiple platforms as a place to just drive more business value out of those games, allowing us to...
That 100% makes sense. And we're in such a landscape of IP right now. This is happening all over Hollywood and all over TV in a way that I actually feel pretty negatively about, if I'm being completely honest. You can't really sell just art at this point. You have to sell IP, and that is just getting worse and worse and worse. So when he's talking about the health of the company, which is obviously the job of somebody like Phil Spencer, I mean, they still just made Pentiment, right? Pentiment was a game that is so small and is probably very niche and is so nerdy and is so very Josh Sawyer, and so many things that particular director was really passionate about. The fact that that game came out at all is a miracle, and I love that game. But it's like, if you want to support your ecosystem, investing more into those IPs to make them more well-known means it's easy to get funding. There's longer legs on those things. They are a lesser risk for you to make a Pentiment 2 than it is for you to make another new IP that's of a similar scale to Pentiment. Like, it makes tons of sense to me. It's investing in, like he said, I'm not saying anything Phil's not saying, the longevity of the brand.
As you said, we have shipped games on other platforms. In fact, realistically, if you look with the addition of Activision and Blizzard and ZeniMax, we're one of the largest game publishers on PlayStation. We're one of the largest
That's
publishers
actually
on the
crazy to think about. Like, at this point, because of all of these games that they didn't publish, but technically, like, they own the IPs for, Xbox has published more games on PlayStation than you could, like, easily count. That's so weird to think about.
Nintendo Switch, especially when you put Minecraft.
They are a publisher. It's
into
true.
the equation
That's what
as
they
well.
are.
And now we're one of the largest.
You just never used to
publishers,
talk about them that way, but
on
they are.
mobile platforms as well. The system today, the system that all companies that we play video games from, is a world of, you got to be growing your business. Growth in our Xbox business is critical to the long-term health of Xbox. Many people know
I feel like the way he's talking about growth is like Xbox as a business, again, also considering that they're a publisher and not just hardware. And that's like they have a segment of this where they're talking about how Xbox's strategy hasn't actually changed. And like, yes and no, I agree with that. Like, yes, I agree with that in terms of like, this isn't a huge shock. It's something they've been doing recently for a while, if that sentence makes any sense. But at the same time, they're talking about Xbox as a business very separate from the hardware these days, which goes back to what I was saying at the start. The console wars don't really exist anymore. This is a brand now, this is a publisher now, and they're thinking about like multiple facets of the business, where previously we were getting presentations that were just all about hardware. That's kind of gone for them. That's not really a thing Xbox is doing anymore. Like, it's not like the hardware doesn't exist, but it's a part of the brand, not the whole brand anymore, because you're also getting the publishing now. Obviously, with all these acquisitions, that's even more of a thing for them. And you're also getting services. You're getting Game Pass, you're getting the subscription. So it's like the hardware still exists, but it's not the focus. And I do think that's a shift. It's not a sudden shift. It's been happening for a while, but it is a change from the previous generation. Y'all remember the Don Matrick presentation? That's what I thought. Okay, so yeah, I just finished watching this, and probably the last section is probably unneeded in terms of the topic at hand. All of this makes sense to me. Wow, the internet overreacted. Who would have thought? I mean, I imagine some people will be mad about this, right? The people who'll be mad about this are people who are super into Xbox, who maybe don't have the money to buy multiple platforms and feel like there's more value in games all being exclusive to their one system. And like, you see it as a devaluation for a purchase that you made if they're available on other systems. I feel like very differently to that. Like, nothing is inherently more or less valuable to me. Certainly not a video game console because other people have access to it, but it's not like that's an unusual human way of thinking. Diamonds are more valuable because you perceive them as harder to get, right? So you see Xbox games as less valuable potentially because they're on other platforms, and thus you are mad. Like, I can understand why that would be a reaction some people might have to this. But I think that everything they laid out here makes perfect sense. And like, if you think about, it's kind of like using other platforms to fund your own experiences. Like, it's like putting Hi-Fi Rush on the Nintendo Switch and thus making more money from that game that, you know, isn't being talked about as much now, that I absolutely love. Like, that game rules. It was very creative, very different from everything else that team had made, getting more people into it, getting a bigger player base, and then you were taking that player base and using it to fund a second game, or to be able to pitch a second game, or for that studio to make other games. It's like you're using other platforms to fund more good experiences. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me. The biggest takeaway is, I think, yeah, the Xbox brand just isn't a console brand anymore. It is a publisher, it is a service, and it is hardware. That is a shift. That is the reality of Xbox now. The console wars are dead. As much as you might keep trying, keep valiantly abusing people on Twitter all you want, the Xbox brand is a different thing than it was 10 years ago. Put your goddamn swords down, all right?